Hey guys, it's Keith here. And today I'm going to be playing on Baltiisk Peninsula, and I saw that the enemy team is bringing a lot of heavy tanks in this matchup, so I figured I'm going to bring some of my own. Now, after surveying the map, this is the first time I'm playing on this map, by the way. So I figured I'm going to take on the right side here, survey the map a little bit, and just start prepping. But this game is going to feature a lot of micro intensive tank engagement, as well as a few surprises and a lot of a lot of missiles flying around. So definitely sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And we're going to start off with some air attacks, definitely engaging some enemy aircraft here. I see two enemy Raptors coming towards us. Lucky for us that this enemy Raptors, they're not really pushing that hard against us, so we're able to get away with relative safety for my MiG-29 SMT here. Unfortunately, unable to take out the enemy Comanche at the start of the game. But after taking damage to the MiG-29, I'm gonna be speeding it away. Lucky to have it alive, really, those two Raptors flying around. My teammate here, really diving in ahead with the helicopters here, deploying forward deployments on their soldiers into the point Alpha here. Unfortunately, going to be engaged by the still barely alive enemy Comanche. So I'm going to be zooming in my Spetsnaz GRU in the BTR just to provide some anti-air cover. And as always, I'm going to be starting off with a Shoret and a SAM just to cover my bases against enemy helicopter and air attack. It's bound to come in a short while. It's my Spetsnaz GRU providing ample recon as well as engaging the enemy Comanche. Now, unfortunately for the Comanche, the missile, the Eagle missile actually hits the supply dump, and consequently the explosion takes out the Comanche. So that's a nice kill for us for sure. BTR 82 is going to be providing some support. So in the beginning of the phase, figured neither side is going to have a lot of deployment rushing in so quickly. So I'm going to be thinking about using the BTR's mobility to sort of catch whatever's off deploying at the back there. And I see that the enemy SAM is actually located on the right side of the screen here. Figured might be able to rush up and catch them off guard, take some of the kills, deny the enemy those important assets in the beginning of the game. As I'm diving in, I'm spotting a lot of things here. Notably, the enemy Javelin squad and Rangers is going to be engaging my BTR 82, and I'm not going to be able to deal with that. If I approach on the road, their Rangers is going to engage me with their Morse. So I figured, okay, let's just take out the enemy artillery on the road. Unfortunately, that gets shut down very quickly indeed. So you see now I brought up the T90M. It's going to be the first of many tanks that I'm going to be bringing up, as I am playing the Tank Scar division from the Russian side. So I have a total of 5 heavy tanks available for me in here. Just gonna be shifting it up, finding a good position and engaging, or just waiting for the enemy to come in. Second Spetsnaz team coming in just to provide vision and recon. At this point I figured, okay, I'm gonna find a good position for them to scope out. That's when I start seeing the enemy bringing out their heavy tanks now. So we're gonna be expecting a lot of tank engagement in this round. US Rangers team still proving a challenge for my teammate here. ESSO, relatively even match, but with the Delta Force now showing up, it's going to be a difficult one for them for sure. Managed to catch out the enemy Abrams on the side shot, now taking a rear shot, so I'm going to be chasing it and successfully taking one enemy heavy tank off the board. So that was a relatively easy, quick engagement. Unfortunately, my T90 does take a lot of damage. So for now, it's just going to be holding position. Hopefully, we manage to catch out something else that's gonna be coming our way instead. So again, I'm gonna be bringing up what you saw earlier, an Eagler team coming in the boomerang, as well as supplies. You always gotta make sure that your supplies comes in maybe a couple of minutes after the initial game. Easy kill on the helicopters right now. In this map, and in generally as a whole, having helicopters coming in so early, having helicopters coming into range of AA can be very deadly for any sides, really. But you can see now we're being engaged by a SEP V3 trophy, and another enemy tank is coming down the road to us. Now T90M is going to be taken out very quickly. I figured I could maybe take it out before he takes me out, but friendly cruise missiles actually coming in clutch there. Manages to take out a few pieces here. Does take out the trophy that killed my tank, so a nice bit of revenge on that. So here, because my Tor sort of fired on the enemy helicopter, it's revealed its position for a bit. The enemy artillery was quick to take advantage of that, and a bit of a mistake on my end for not moving the Tor. I'm gonna be losing a few Tors in this matchup, but the Tor for me in this game has been absolutely crucial. Just like any game in Broken Arrow, the first phase of the match is gonna be relatively slow as both sides starts building up forces in order to make a push. Right now, both teams ideally should just be probing one another, see what kind of assets or units are on the field right now. My teammate pushing quite deeply with those Pulimachiki squads in his BTRs. And unfortunately, that sound you heard indicates one of my teammates just got disconnected. So we're going to be playing up against 5 versus 4 for now. Orthonic again pushing up too close to the front line. But I'm really lucky to be getting it away. It's just gonna dip down below the hill there, have the tree covers me, and I'm just gonna queue up the helicopter to just follow the road and get away to safety. My teammate here on the left with quad BTR, well, quad Terminators, actually pushing very heavy on the left side here. So seeing as how my teammate is pushing ahead, I'm going to be engaging with whatever assets I have right now. So the boomerang is going to be providing support and some damage onto the ranger squad that's camped out at Bravo sector. Again, some of my other teammates are using cruise missiles in this match, providing a lot of support, which is always welcome because every single cruise missile keeps the enemy in check and sort of draws their attention to those missiles. T80UM finally joining us in the front line here. Gonna be engaging the Rangers RRC at range. And my Spetsnaz is in a relatively good position to be providing support and recon as well. Nice catch on the AMPV by the boomerang. And you see the enemy artillery is really on point in this game. It certainly keeps me on my toes. I have to keep juggling my units around. Both sides taking pretty even casualties and engagements right now, so with neither side gaining any advantage. So with situations like this, it's always good to just hold off on any attacks and sort of build up your forces, because you never want to be sending your units in piece by piece. That's just gonna leave yourself vulnerable to multi-pronged attack and quickly take your units off the field. Eagle being engaged by, I think that's a Bradley. That Bushmaster cannon is definitely gonna hurt my units there. You can see a lot of combined arms on my enemy team here with killer eggs with hellfires, as well as heavy tanks and infantry pushing us very heavily on this side of the front. And unfortunately my Tor did finally get taken out. I do have an Eagler there, but it's not in range or has visibility on those helicopters right now. Two Apaches actually coming in, my Spetsnaz GRU putting on a fight, and my friendly forces diving in with the airborne VDV and some naval coastal troops there. It's kind of cute to see coastal troops in the doing some airborne style attacks. And you see multiple enemy heavy tanks now pushing down towards us, and we're in a bit of a difficult position indeed. Gonna be bringing back my attack helicopter here just to see if I can provide some cover. And it's getting ready to attack and pounce on the enemy tank. You can already see on the right side of the screen here triple enemy tanks, and I counted at least 3 in the center here. So we're facing a total of 6 known enemy tank pushing us very heavily right now. So the enemy engagement here is very Soviet-like. It's just non-stop wave after wave of heavy tanks pushing towards us. My orthonics is gonna pop out briefly just to take a shot, but it's being encountered by the enemy shore at there, as well as the killer egg with some Stinger missiles. So it's gonna dive back down, save itself. All the while I'm gonna be positioning my forces relatively close together, and in order to make sure that I have superior numbers. In this case, we're kind of outmatched by the intense artillery bombardment as well as the enemy presence here. Those 2 tanks to the front is definitely a threat, but as you can see here, my forces are coming together now, speeding towards the front line in order to help their comrades not take this. Poor SSO squad getting caught out in the open by those 2 enemy tanks. And I figured, okay, I'm gonna, my T-80UM now arriving, I'm gonna push out everything I have, trying to take out both of these tanks if I can. Managed to track one of them, but taking fire from the enemy Hellfire killer egg on the left side here. So you always want to make sure that whenever you do this kind of pushes, you have at least 1 AA piece that can sort of cover your tanks or your forces pushing out. In this case, I have my Tor now, a new Tor coming in. It's gonna turn on its radar so that it gets longer ranges and be able to hit these the Sentinel up there. So we managed to scare off the enemy forces here. Those 2 tanks that were causing us a lot of problem on the front line here just managed to push back, and you can see how effective the Tor can be in a position like this, taking out 1 enemy Apache. Gonna be engaging the second one, and successfully takes down the second one as well very quickly. And pushing your helicopters in this map at this range is very deadly indeed. If you don't have any frontline forces quickly engaging the enemy AA, you leave yourself to a very vulnerable position for your helicopters. In this case, my teammate just keeps sending me fresh helicopters for me to kill, which it's always welcome. Now this was a bit of a mistake that I have, and I figured, okay, I could push out with my T-80 and see what kind of forces there are in this tree line here, but I didn't realize that my poor T-80 has no smokes left, so I inadvertently just accidentally sent my T-80 on a suicide mission. So that was a bit of a misplay on my part. Now on the left side here, my teammates isn't really pushing out towards the Charlie objective and the other points that are on this mainland here. So that's somewhat, I figured it was probably because they're building up their forces here, trying to engage whatever it is. that's capping them. So we're kind of lucky as well that the enemy team isn't really pushing us from that direction as well. Most of the fight is happening where I am right now. My teammate on the green here on the right side is really holding down the line so far with his infantry. So I'm gonna be bringing in some Metis squad, and I figured I need some infantry to sort of sit inside some of these buildings here. One, the infantry that sits inside the buildings, they're gonna be providing extra fire damage or firepower, sort of overwhelming the trophy protection system of these tanks, while my tanks could deliver the killing blow whenever they show up. Tor once again engaging on range. Oh sorry, that's not the Tor, that's the, I believe that was the Spetsnaz crew with its remaining missiles, Igla missiles. So score wise, we've just entered phase 2 and you can see we're losing by not much, but 2 points ahead, but the enemy does have a solid advantage. 88% of the map is being controlled by the American forces here. We're gonna have to do something very quickly in order to change the outcome of this battle. But unfortunately, some kind of recon did spot my units hiding in the tree lines. My Tor again, unfortunately, getting caught out by the enemy artillery. Yeah, plenty of artillery on both sides of this match, and as we're entering phase 2, with both sides sort of adequately developing, having developed their forces right now, things are just gonna get more intense from this point onwards. Now we managed to push the Delta team out of the Bravo. However, I realized I didn't successfully kill Delta yet, so I'm just gonna move my tank over to the left side of this tree line here and see if I can catch them out. While doing so, I realized that that's not a lot of things happening in this tree line. Maybe use it to flank the enemy. So that's gonna be the new direction that I'm gonna be focused on. In engagements like this, when things gets a bit heavy, and in any engagement really, you always want to be looking out for new avenues of approach, new direction to attack the enemy where they least expect it to do so. And it's always a great idea to have recon units or have units in these kind of angles too, just in order to prevent the enemy from doing the same thing to you. If you don't secure your flanks, you're gonna get flanked yourself. So the Metis squad has arrived in this Kuganets, and the Kuganets is a very strong asset, in my opinion. They come equipped, for me, they come equipped with the 2 types of missile launchers that can quickly overwhelm the trophy protection system, any APS really. 2 TADU engaging the enemy tank, and at that range, the enemy Abrams is posing a very heavy frontal armor that my TADU just couldn't penetrate quickly enough. Gonna be smoking one out and falling back very quickly to rearm, resupply. You can see the enemy does have a unit here, M10 Booker, and this Booker is sort of a mistake on my end for not trying to clean it up. We're gonna see that in a bit. So you can see the Kuganets with its autocannon as well as its missile quickly proving a challenge and a match for the enemy vehicles. Unfortunately getting caught out by the enemy shore right there. Boomerang launching a missile at the shore, my T-90 quickly taking out that unit with ease. Now over here you see my teammate finally pushed the enemy out from Alpha and starting cap, while myself I'm pushing Bravo, and we've capped this area for ourselves. So we're going to be slowly starting to equalize the capture score here. Kills wise, relatively even at the moment, and you can see just how difficult it is to be pushing against the enemy tanks that are constantly trying to engage us themselves. Green teammate there finally getting to Charlie after being capped by the enemy, so he's going to be retaking that point instead. And my T-80 actually managed to push up quite heavy, quite deep into the tree line over here. Does encounter enemy units in this side of the tree line, so here comes the Booker, guys. So my boomerang is technically no match for M10 Booker. And unfortunately the Booker does have the APS, so it kind of nullifies the missile, the Cornet missile that was launched at him. So even with its tracked right now, my Metis, because it's at minimum range, unable to do anything about it. A poor T-80 on the left side here being caught out by the enemy Apache quickly gets taken out, so I'm losing another tank over there. Another Thor comes back to the fray and starts engaging the enemy Apache. And on the right side here you can see massive enemy push engaging into Alpha right now. My teammate holding the line, another teammate now with multiple tanks, multiple heavy tanks, 5 of them so far. It's going to be diving in on the main road here, hoping to assist my teammate, while I'm holding this side of the front, pushing against all these enemy forces. So it's a tough fight, definitely, but it was really fun to engage these kind of forces. The enemy team was actually really doing pretty well, except for some of the helicopter mishaps. I think if they kept their helicopters back a little bit more, it certainly would have posed a lot more problems for us. But the tank players on the enemy team was working really well together. I think they're not bunching up too much. They have their tank spread out quite evenly, able to sort of cover the entire front and preventing us from flanking and overwhelming the tanks. And that's generally how you want to play your tank forces in Broken Arrow. Don't group them too much. So for example, my teammate here who has all his tanks bunched up, and I think that's only because the situation demands it for now. So it's always cool to see a blob of tanks. It looks cool, but it subjects yourself to a lot of damage, you know, a lot of chances of you making a mistake, and at some point in this game you're gonna see why, because I was able to abuse the fact that the enemy grouped up their tanks and a single cluster strike successfully took out all of them. But it's gonna happen sometime in this game later on. So for now, the engagement is slowly turning into our favor as we take more fights. My teammates managed to pull back his tank and keep them out of the fight, and that's a great idea, really. If your units are unable to sustain damage, sustain the front line, ideally you should be looking to pull them back, get them rearmed, resupplied, and heal up so that you can be fresh again and engage and hold better on their own. Right now I managed to catch out another Abrams. I think that was a SEP V3 trophy, so another important enemy tank being taken out the board, which definitely brings our kill score up, and you can see we're at a +2 now, equalizing with their +2 on the capture point. So if we maintain this momentum and maintain the kill score, we're going to be at a very healthy position. Oh, again the Tor, really devastating for the for the enemy aircraft. The enemy helicopters are just unmatched. And Tor, with its 16 missiles and can fire relatively quickly, certainly poses a threat to any enemy helicopters in the scene. My T-80 here is going to try to help out my teammate on the right here, chase off the enemy tank. Tor still engaging the enemy Apache. And you can see I'm pulling back all of my beaten units, bringing in fresh supplies, and just going to be rearming, repairing, getting them back into the fight right now. Yep, gonna be moving the Tor very quickly now. The enemy was quick to react on the Tor with the artillery. And Tor, being such a squishy unit, I think 2 shots at most from those artillery would have easily taken it out. Lucky to be getting away with that Tor, so that it could continue to be a nuisance for the enemy helicopters that are bound to come in at a later date. PDSS squads having a cold morning swim does manage to spot the enemy Javelin Ranger squad in the tree line there. So yeah, now that we're sort of having a moment to breathe and both sides sort of reeling from the losses, we're just going to take the moment and the opportunity to rearm, recharge, and bring in fresh reinforcements to the front here. Now, throughout this game, I've been trying to push to the front, really unsuccessfully doing so. The enemy posing a lot of heavy tanks in this sector really makes us difficult in pushing through. And I noticed that points here and my allies here aren't really pushing out to secure these positions. So I'm just gonna throw out some pings and make sure to remind them that, hey, these points are uncontested. Oh! And that is why, guys, you don't bunch up your tanks too closely. A single enemy nuke just wiped out one of my teammates' 5 heavy tanks. And those tanks, like, it's gonna take some time for those tanks to be available again. And that puts the team and myself at a very dangerous position, because if the enemy starts to take advantage of the number of kills that was just made just now, and if they start pushing through hard through this road here, I only have a few assets at play to be able to stop them from rolling down completely into our back lines here. I think it was lucky that they didn't take advantage of that nuke, either because we took out a lot of enemy tanks in the beginning, so they themselves might not have the assets available. But either way, it was a silver lining of it. So I noticed that I'm getting spotted. I think my supply dumps in the forest is being spotted somehow, so I figured it might be a recon unit nearby. So pushing out the boomerang does manage to successfully spot the enemy sniper team and catch it out. My teammate launching a lot of cruise missiles as a pre-fire barrage in order to soften up the Charlie points. And my teammate just pushing out again. As you can see, now we spotted a enemy killer egg. My teammate here doesn't really have any supporting AA pieces close enough to his tanks to be able to engage the enemy helicopters. So I noticed that I'm going to be moving my Tor in order to support him. So always keep an AA piece close by, never push out without having any AA. My Tor, again, doing amazing work keeping the enemy helicopters at length. Even if you don't kill the enemy helicopters, guys, it's having an AA piece with missiles slinging at them gives them a reason to back off, and by scaring them away, you keep your own units and your allies safe. So always have an AA piece at hand. And I notice nobody's really pushing into Gamma Point right now, so I have a couple of Krugernettes carrying some of my guard infantry, so I'm just going to be diving them and unloading them straight into the point. Don't really have the APM to micromanage those right now, so I'm just going to hope that whatever they have, or the enemy have over there, is my guards rifles are going to be able to take care of it. T-90 is going to be pushing out the Krugernettes with its long-range missiles, stinging the enemy Abrams a little bit. Gonna be bumping into the Rangers RRC here, quickly taking care of it. But you can see my Tor moving into position does manage to spot a number 6 enemy helicopters, and it's going to be slinging a lot of missiles their way, quickly demolishing the enemy air power. And one single Tor managed to wipe out the enemy helicopter fleet. Amazing. That was one of the highlights for me in this game, I think. Not the only one, not the only highlight. There's more to come. So successfully taking out the enemy air power for a time, for a while now. I'm going to be backing off my Tor very quickly, because you can see the enemy very quickly is going to be launching an artillery strike on where my Tor was just now. So having your pieces sort of be mobile at all times, once they've done enough damage or revealed their positions, it's almost always very important to just move them away. Well, you can see my tank is getting caught out here, T90M being on its own, caught out here, but does reveal a very strong enemy presence on the hilltop there. 4 enemy tanks, with one limping back towards it. So I'm gonna queue up my cluster tornado actually and striking that position very quickly. That was indeed an enemy nuke attempting to come in. Now here comes the cluster, guys. And this is why you should never bunch your tanks up together. Because one single cluster, well-placed cluster, is gonna ruin your day very quickly. As you can see, I'm gonna be unleashing my full 12 salvos, full salvo of 12 missiles at the enemy tanks here. We managed to actually catch out 5 enemy tanks. It's gonna push out our score to 3,000, 38, almost 3,800. It's gonna get us a lot of kills, a lot of points, and more importantly, gonna take those pieces out for a while now, which allows us to push up and take advantage of that, the lack of enemy units on that tree line there. Now I spotted, because I know that I made those kills, I'm gonna be pushing up my tanks and Kurganets to see what sort of other assets there. Because at this point I'm pretty confident that they're not gonna be defended by anything that could challenge these 2 tanks. My friendly, my ally here putting out some artillery themselves. And I noticed that some missiles flying in from this direction, so I'm gonna push out my T-80 and manage to catch out an enemy HIMARS and what seems to be like a Brutus, but the enemy Apache does come in and tries to engage. Kurganets does successfully spots an enemy Patriot. I think that was a PAC-3 MSE, and again taking out those assets and retreating it. We've done a lot of damage in a short amount of time. That was amazing. So at this point we are in phase 3. We're leading with a +6 at the moment in kills, and if we can continue this momentum and the kill score, then we're in a good position to win this game. All we have to do now is to cap some of the points that we have to sort of increase our chances of winning, and my T-80 is going to be doing just that and trying to push into A point right now. And again, missiles flying around everywhere. You can see I'm sending my Kurganets to pick up the poor Spetsnaz GRU that was camped out there for quite a while now. Just gonna be bringing him back to desupply and resupply, get more Stinger missiles and AT if any. My teammate now pushing double T90 Ratsvedka, I think. Those are recon tank units that's able to spot, have them get to recon and just engage. But they do lack the APS, I think. So that's gonna be something that you have to think about. Now unfortunately my Tor does get out of position a little bit. And I thought it was hidden. It was in fact hidden, but because it fired its missiles, sort of revealed its position itself when it came into range of these 2 enemy tanks. So losing yet another Tor. I think I've lost a total of 4 Tors at the moment. But I'm only bringing them one at a time. There's generally no reason to bring so many when you only need like one, maybe. So with the enemy sort of battered right now, my allies on the right here is pushing up very heavily with their tanks as well. My T-80 taken down to a very low health. Their Versailles actually trying to penetrate, unsuccessfully doing so. And I noticed that my ally here is pushing up this tank with me. So I figured, okay, 2 against 1, we're gonna take out this tank. And if we can get this tank, it's gonna be another kill in our belt. My tank does go down, and hopefully the friendly tank does manage to take it out. You can see the enemy now renewed a tank push again into it. We're fighting with 3 enemy players who are playing heavy tanks division from the American side, I think, and that's why we're seeing a lot of enemy tanks engaging us. There hasn't really been a pause in this sector of the front line here. And it's just constant battle. A lot of back and forth in this game. Fun. My Terminator Krugernettes actually almost manages to take out one tank. One does go down. Tor coming back in. I'm gonna be pulling back my Krugernettes and Terminator. That tank is very angry and charging right at us. But the Spetsnaz GRU does have AT, and both my Metis squad is proving quite a bit of nuisance. Managed to catch the tank at a sign and rear armor. I'm gonna be pushing out my Krugernettes again, so you can see a lot of micro-intensive gameplay right now. Gonna be bringing back my Orthonic. I think it died earlier. Didn't manage to catch that out. While I'm gonna be pulling back my Krugernettes to rearm, repair. Now Orthonic, if you can get your helicopters from a long range, the Orthonics is armed in this case with 12 Ataka missiles, I think. If you can get him at the long range with clear line of sight, it is one of the deadliest units in this game. Attack helicopters with long range ATGMs, some of the most deadliest units in Broken Arrow right now. So again, Tor proving to be a difficult barrier for the enemy aircraft to engage us at distance. Unfortunately, they are sure doing the same to my helicopters. So yeah, pushing in helicopters at this side is near suicidal. My teammate does successfully catch out the enemy Apache that's potentially just rearming over there. Spetsnaz GRU with their Stinger missiles. Unfortunately, my Tor dies again to the enemy artillery. Another Tor kill. Oh. Yeah, so you can see on the score here, the enemy is actually quickly gaining momentum. We're still at a very healthy score so far. However, I think because of their renewed push, myself and my teammates are, well, we've been losing pieces here and there. So I see, okay, what can I do right now that I could influence this sector? And with the assets that I have at hand, nothing really could actually damage any of the heavy tanks directly. I mean, I'm gonna be bringing up more tanks eventually, but with my Terminators on the ground right now, I'm gonna be going on aggressive or going on the offensive for a little bit, sort of push the enemy back and cause them to sort of have second doubts or second thoughts in pushing us, because if they push us right now, there's very little we could do to stop them. Unfortunately, we see multiple enemy tanks again from many directions, so very quickly we're going to smoke out and fall back as quickly as we can. So the enemy is doing a great job here, keeping their tanks spread out this time around, and really posing a threat, because a tank or any vehicles, the front armor is going to be the heaviest. If you have a frontal engagement, it usually comes down to the number, the number of tanks you have, and who shoots first, really. But with side shots and rear shots in play, it's not going to be a fair game. Now my two poor Terminators running out of smoke, and I figured can't really pull them back out in time, so they're just gonna stay and have a last stand kind of thing. Just gonna be queuing up a cluster to where I think their tank would be staging at, so hopefully we get some kills. Now T90Ms, two of them are quickly joining us. My T80 having to smoke out because it's being engaged by these two tanks here. Again, non-stop tank engagement. That's oof. We're being pushed by 3 enemy tanks again. Pretty decently spread out. That's what I would have done with my tank as well. So I'm just gonna be hiding them behind these buildings here. My boomerang, forgot I was bringing up a Spetsnaz GRU here. Just gonna be dumping it into the high rise here in order just to provide some kind of a AA fire. Friendly Cornet does manage to take out one tank. We're going to be pushing out very quickly to take out the second one that is sort of overextended from its lines. And we still have 2 more to deal with. You can see at the back there, enemy cruise missile. Or in this case, cluster actually coming from my tornado. And a bit of a mistake on my end. I forgot to queue up a move order after my tornado fires. However, my tornado luckily, very luckily survives that hit, and is still able to dish out one last attempt. It is mobilized right now, indicated by the red hexagon gear icon, so unless I bring supplies to it and heal it, it's not going anywhere. I figured it's the end of the game. The enemy is quickly even out on the kill score here, so really it's all about trying to hold on to what we have, because we are still at a +3 in terms of positions captured. So right now I figured it's best to just be safe and not commit to any wild attempts in pushing. You can see I'm running out of supplies. Should have brought in more at the start, well, at some point in the game. Another nuke goes off, and all this while, guys, like there's this other part of the island here, and thankfully one of my teammates is on that position. Because he successfully captured that position, it's now giving us a +3 in the end, but he did end up getting nuked very hard. So now all of a sudden our opponents have the lead now, not by a lot, it's still pretty equal, but things are getting dicey on our sides. Now the Kurganets with the Motostrelki guards did capture Gamma, I believe, so I'm gonna be bringing him to the front line now, hopefully into this the forest on the left side here, in order to strengthen the position that I have. My role now is to prevent them from capping Bravo or any points of us. Now with less than 60 seconds left on the clock, we're looking for a very difficult victory at hand. Things still could go wrong at some point. If they manage to get more kills and cross the threshold, then we're just gonna lose. You can see my Derevazaya not doing anything to the enemy drone. My Thor running out of missiles and incapacitated at the back there. The enemy slowly making a push. Unfortunately, they're not. Well, fortunately for us, they're not pushing very heavily on their tanks. I think they might have had the same thoughts about the kill score over there. Like 2 seconds, one, and look at this. a nuke goes off, but because the nuke went off after the countdown timer, we managed to get the kill. I mean, we managed to get the win. So a great game, I think. Very back and forth, very heavy tank engagement. We managed to come out with 12,000 kills, 6,000 deaths with a KD ratio 2.02, and kudos to my teammates who really did a great job holding the line. Unfortunately, we did have a couple of disconnects, so yeah, that's unfortunate. You can see my Tor really getting a lot of kills here, multiple Tors, and the enemy team was just sending a lot of helicopters at us, so we took advantage of that. My Tornado managed to catch out 4 tanks and a Shoret, as well as a Guardian. Apache, I'm not sure how that happened. Probably was hovering over a supply dump that my one of the cluster hit it and exploded and killing it. So yeah, very fun game. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.